Have you ever noticed something about your life? You can see the patterns. You recognize the things that keep showing up. You can even feel when your old wounds are sneaking in. And yet somehow you still end up in the same situations, the same relationship dynamics, the same emotional reactions, the same loops. You promise yourself, next time I'll do it differently. And then a few months later, you're thinking, how did I end up here again? If that's ever happened to you, I want to start with something important. There is nothing wrong with you. And it doesn't mean you're failing at personal growth. What's usually happening is much simpler. Self-awareness alone doesn't create change. Understanding yourself is powerful. But awareness by itself rarely transforms a life. So today, I want to show you the framework I use to bridge that gap. And as we walk through it, I want you to quietly ask yourself something. Which one of these phases feels like the season of life you're currently in? Welcome back to the channel, friends. I'm Astro Kara. In my work, I combine astrology and coaching to help people create real, sustainable change in their lives. And today, I want to share something that's been quietly forming behind the scenes in my work for years. It's the framework that underlies everything I do. I call it the Thrivuary Method. Now, I know Thrivuary is a strange word. It's something I created by blending two ideas, thrive and sanctuary. Because the deeper question behind my work has always been this: what does it actually take for someone to move from survival into sustainable thriving? Not thriving in theory, not thriving on Instagram, but thriving in the real, emotional, and sometimes messy experience of being human. Over time, I noticed something interesting. People could understand themselves extremely well. They could explain their wounds. They could name their triggers. And they could analyze their patterns. And yet, their lives still didn't change. Eventually, that led me to a deeper question. What is the developmental pathway between awareness and embodiment? And that question eventually became the Thrivuary Method. Most meaningful transformation moves through three stages. What I've called observer, architect, and alchemist. Or in simpler language, awareness, intentional restructuring, and embodied transformation. I see these as seasons of development. And the easiest way to understand how it works is through a simple analogy. When my kids were younger, we used to play the Lego video games together a lot. If you've ever played one, then you probably know how they work. You move through a level with a certain set of characters. Along the way, you keep seeing things that you can't unlock yet. A door, a puzzle, an object that clearly does something, but your character doesn't have the ability yet. And it's really frustrating. You can see the solution. You just can't access it. Eventually, you realize something important about the game. It's designed to be replayed. So as you collect new characters with different abilities, you come back to the same level. And suddenly, those things that felt impossible before open. A door opens, a puzzle activates, a hidden path appears. The level didn't change, your capacity did. And life works in a surprisingly similar way. We often find ourselves back in familiar situations, the same types of relationships, the same emotional reactions, the same internal conflicts. And it's easy to think, why does this keep happening to me? But very often, life isn't repeating the lesson because we somehow failed. It's bringing us back because we now have new capacities we didn't have before. More awareness, better boundaries, more emotional resilience. The level looks the same, but you're not the same person moving through it anymore. And the Thrivuary Method helps you understand which capacities you're currently developing. The first phase is the observer. And the observer asks a simple but powerful question. What's actually happening here? Have you ever had a moment where you catch yourself reacting and it's like part of you is watching it happen in real time? That's observer awareness. And instead of reacting automatically, you start noticing the pattern. Oh, that's my projection. Or, yeah, that's the survival strategy I learned. Or that's something that activates my nervous system, often called a trigger. In evolutionary astrology, we look at Pluto and the lunar nodes to understand the deeper emotional imprints shaping those patterns. And the goal here isn't fixing yourself. There's nothing to be fixed. The goal is awareness with compassion. The observer is building something incredibly important: self-trust. It builds your emotional language, and it builds the nervous system regulation. Without this phase, everything else becomes performance. The observer shifts you from reaction into awareness. Eventually, awareness leads to another powerful realization. If you can see the pattern, you now have the power to change it. This is the phase I call the architect. Have you ever realized that something in your life won't change until you start making different choices? That's architect energy. So instead of asking, why does this keep happening to me? You start asking, what am I creating now? And this is where awareness becomes agency. This is where we begin working with things like boundaries, decision-making, relationship dynamics, and your daily habits. Because when we align those choices with your natal chart and current transits, astrology becomes something very different. It becomes a tool for conscious evolution. You're no longer just reacting to life, you're actively designing it. The architect shifts you from awareness into agency. And the phase that I find lacking in many personal development systems, I call the alchemist. The alchemist asks a deeper question. What is this experience transforming within me? Have you ever gone through something painful and later realized it changed the way you understood yourself? That's the alchemist at work. And these seasons often appear during major life initiations, like Pluto transits, a Saturn return, or a Chiron return. Times when your identity is shifting, grief is heavy, and deep relational transformations occur. During these periods, we're learning to stop avoiding the intensity. We learn how to metabolize it. This is where the shadow becomes fuel, where pain becomes wisdom, and where sovereignty stops being an idea and becomes something you can actually embody. The alchemist shifts you from agency into embodiment. And here's something that surprises people when I tell them about this. These phases are developmental, but they're also cyclical. You might move from observer to architect to alchemist, and then life introduces something new. And suddenly, you're back an observer again. It's important to know that this isn't regression. That's how evolution works. Each cycle builds deeper emotional capacity. I created the Thrivuary Method because insight alone isn't enough. And astrology was never meant to remove responsibility. It was meant to deepen it. Thrivuary is the process of turning awareness into embodied thriving. It's the bridge between soul intention, psychological insight, and lived experience. It's how we move from simply surviving to consciously thriving. And before I end, I'm curious about something. Which phase do you feel like you're currently moving through right now? The observer, the architect, or the alchemist? Let me know in the comments. If this framework has resonated with you, I've created a free self-assessment for you. If you'd like to explore your birth chart more deeply, you can book a session with me. And if you're ready for the deeper integrative work, you can learn more about my Thrivuary coaching at the website. All of the links will be in the description. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. And I want to leave you with this thought. Thriving isn't something that just happens to a lucky few people. It's something we grow slowly into by learning how to meet life with deeper awareness, clearer choices, and the courage to transform. So until next time, take care of you.